Hi guys, welcome to The Financial Twins.
I'm Mark.
And I'm James. And today we want to talk to you about what the purpose of a budget is and how to create one. Let's get started.
What is the purpose of a budget?
A budget is simply you telling your money what to do. It's not designed to tell you that you can't spend your money or that you shouldn't have fun. It is you living intentionally with your finances. If you wanted to spend $100 on a pizza in one night, you absolutely should be able to do that. But don't do it accidentally on a whim. Plan it out. Give yourself the permission to spend so that you can have fun spending money and still reach your financial goals.
How to create a budget. It's pretty simple. Make a list of all your income streams and compare it to all of your expenses. There are a lot of apps and websites that do this. Some big ones would be Mint.com, YNAB, which is an acronym for You Need a Budget, and the app EveryDollar. I personally use EveryDollar. Once you input the numbers, any of these will show you clearly exactly how much you are spending a month and can help you learn how much you can save a month.
One quick note on this. In my experience seeing over 20 people make a budget for the first time and trying to stick with it, the first budget you make is rarely 100% accurate. Oftentimes, it takes 3 or so months to accurately record how much you are spending. You might think you spend $100 in eating out, but really spend $300. Once you start keeping track, your budget will quickly become more accurate.
We highly advise doing the budget before the month begins. This allows you to look forward at expenses and spend it intentionally in a proactive way, as opposed to finishing the month and then looking back and having to be reactive. How can a budget help build wealth?
Once we have created a budget, we should be able to project how much money we will save next month. Let's say you are able to save $500 a month. That means you can save $6,000 a year.
The next step would be to think, what is the best use of that $6,000? How can it help you reach your financial goals? We will cover how we recommend you managing that extra money in the next video. But let's make a budget first so that we know what we are working with. If you want to see a step-by-step guide on how to create a budget, click on this video. Pointers for a budget.
One thing that we want to point out here is if you work 40 hours a week and are only making a profit of $100 a month, if you were able to either decrease your expenses or increase your income by just $100, you would then double how fast you can save money.
This means if you needed $1,000 to reach your financial goals, you could do it in 5 months instead of 10. How to decrease your expenses.
To decrease your expenses, there are a few obvious ways, such as spending less money eating out, do less shopping, or move to a cheaper place. And these are all good tips, but you probably already knew that.
I find the most interesting way to decrease your expenses is to look at what you are spending on a monthly basis that could go lower. Your electricity, for example, can't go lower unless you use less. Something like a phone plan might get $20 cheaper a month per person if you change providers. I've had major carriers before and just went online to see what options they had for data plans, saw that I was spending $10 a month for literally the exact same thing, and switched over. Now I save that $10 a month passively.
The same can be for Wi-Fi, only paying for what you need instead of the fastest possible services. Look at alternative providers and services in your area. I recently got a 5G router that was half the price of my current Wi-Fi.
Car insurance. Although, make sure you have enough coverage in case you do get in an accident. Often whenever it comes to anything insurance related, it's almost always better to go through a broker. A broker is someone who will shop all the insurances for you to find what is the best deal for you at the most affordable price.
Life insurance. Same thing. Go talk to a broker. If you have anyone who is dependent on your income, we highly recommend getting term life insurance. If you are married, have kids, or you are a stay-at-home parent, we highly recommend life insurance. If you are relatively healthy, it is extremely cheap a month. There is something called whole life insurance, which in most cases we don't recommend, as it is ridiculously more expensive, but is often sold as an investment at the same time.
Looking at the numbers, I'd rather have control over my own money and make it grow faster. Really, the only time we recommend whole life versus term life is when you can't qualify for term life for whatever reason. To get an idea of how cheap term life insurance is, my wife has a $500,000 life insurance on her and it only cost her $25 a month for the next 20 years. It's very affordable. You might need more or less depending on your situation, but oftentimes it's recommended to have 8 to 12 times the income that you are trying to replace.
Garbage. Maybe sizing down to a smaller garbage or change it to only being picked up once every other week.
Gym membership. Maybe there is a cheaper gym that you could be going to, or you just pay more upfront to have an at-home gym and cancel your membership. Or maybe you haven't gone to the gym in over a year and you should just cancel it anyways.
Subscriptions. Between Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Disney, and PlayStation Network, and a lot more, there's a lot of subscriptions out there. Make sure that you are only subscribed to things you are actively using. Maybe you have a Spotify account that you never use and you're spending $10 a month on it. Find a couple of subscriptions you don't use and cancel them. For the ones you do use, find them and see what it's costing you.
Coffee. Coffee has gotten really expensive. Getting a drink from Starbucks could cost $5 to $7 for one coffee. If you get a $5 coffee every day, that's around $150 a month you could be saving. I'm not saying that you should quit coffee, but try to find cheaper alternatives. For example, buy a good coffee maker for $50 to $100 and make your own coffee. Sure, it costs a bit more up front, but it pays for itself after just 1 month by saving you $100. Every month after that will be money in your pocket.
Of course, another really big thing, if it applies to you, is debt. Debt costs money every month you hold onto it, usually in the form of credit card debt or student loans. By paying it off, it will free up some more cash flow and feel personally great to have it off your shoulders.
One way to see if your budget you made was accurate, go look at your bank statements. The bank statements is where you will see every single transaction. You could go through that, or usually somewhere on your statement, it will say something along the lines of total income and total expenses. Review those numbers to see how accurate your budget is. It should clearly tell you what your costs are in the month really quickly in total monthly expenses or something along those lines. How to increase your income.
Now, as far as increasing your income goes, you have a few options. You could work more overtime if your job allows you to. You could pick up another job. You could start doing Uber Eats, Uber driving. This is a personal favorite, as you can work anytime you want. You just go online, and once you're tired or you don't want to work anymore, you just go offline. In my area, I was averaging $20 an hour whenever I did Uber Eats. This helped me save an extra $1,500 a month, which nearly doubled my income.
Start a side hustle. This could be as easy as going to Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, finding the free tab, and looking for something that you could wash or clean and then sell for $50 to $100. Maybe you have a hobby that you can turn into a business. Maybe you have some carpentry skills like making a chair or a table, and if you put the time, you could sell on Facebook.
Another side hustle is selling things on eBay and Amazon. Go into any major store that would have clearance aisles and download the Amazon app. The Amazon app lets you scan the barcode of merchandise, showing you how popular it is and the price. Maybe you go to Walmart and find a toy for $10 in the clearance aisle, but on Amazon you can make $50 from it. Of course, Amazon will take a cut, but you can make a ton of profit relatively quickly. You can go further into this by visiting Goodwill or garage sales first thing in the morning. I have found tons of deals this way.
Lifestyle creep. This happens whenever we make more money. We naturally have the instinct to spend more money. This is something that can really sneak up on you. As a general rule of thumb, don't spend more than 50% of the new money, which means if you make $1,000 extra a month due to a promotion, try not to spend anything more than $500. This lets you still enjoy that extra money while still making more financial progress.
Some people believe you shouldn't increase your lifestyle at all and should just purchase income-producing assets. Then, with whatever that income-producing asset brings a month, you can use freely on whatever you want. It's the concept of having your assets pay for your liabilities. I personally really like this plan. There's a really well-known book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, by Robert Kiyosaki, which talks about this topic.
Let's give an example. You get a promotion of $15,000 a year, but you wait a year without increasing any of your expenses. Once the year is over, you use that extra money and the money you've been saving to buy a cheap cash-flowing house that brings in $400 a month. Now you have an asset that produces money and also increases in value over time. You can spend that $400 on whatever you want for as long as you have the property. This is a very good way to build wealth. Buying cash-flowing assets to pay for things like a new phone, a car, or really anything. This will make it so that you're always building wealth as a primary goal. What's the point of working so hard if you spend it all on things that don't last? How to stick with your budget.
If you have never done a budget, then keeping up with it can be a challenge. Here are a few tips and systems that helped us out a lot when we started.
The envelope system. The envelope system is having an envelope for every separated item, putting cash in each envelope.
You can only spend the money that is in the envelopes. This means if you are only 20 days throughout the month and already used all your personal spending, you can't use it anymore. If it is something important, like you've used all your food money, then the only way to get more food would be to use money from another envelope, such as your personal spending or house stuff. After a few months, you will get the hang of how much you spend throughout the month, and it will become a lot easier. This system is extremely effective, but it is hard, and much like all things we want to improve on, it requires discipline and a want to improve oneself. I recommend people try this for at least 1 month to get a good feel of their own budget. I have also seen people do this with a bank account, having multiple accounts open, each for their own budgeting categories. I haven't personally done this, but I imagine it would work, although not as good as physical envelopes and cash.
Manually record everything. There are sites like Mint.com that automatically track your budget for you. So if you spend money at the grocery store, it automatically will be able to tell you and minus your money left in your funds by that amount that you bought with. The app EveryDollar has a very similar feature. Although this sounds really tempting, we highly discourage doing this for the first few months. While you're just getting used to a budget, it is very important to know where things are going. This automatic budget makes it too easy to overspend, just to be reactive and say, well, shoot, I guess I'll try better next month. You don't want to put yourself in that situation. You want to be living financially intentional. Plan what all your expenses are for the month and then manually keep track. This could be paper or digitally. I just use EveryDollar and manually add the expenses every time. This way, I feel like I actually spend the money and I'm aware of how much I have left.
Once you are accustomed to your budget, you'll realize 90% of your budget is pretty much the same thing every month. Your gas, rent, insurance, and others stay the same. The ones you really want to focus on are the ones that change, that you have control over. Things like eating out and your own personal spending money, these are categories that if you're not paying attention to, can get out of hand. When trying to follow your budget throughout the month, these are going to be the most important to keep attention to.
It's really easy to think we don't spend much on eating out at restaurants, but if your eating out costs $10 and you eat out every single day, that's $300 a month, which is probably more than your entire grocery fund for yourself. Have an accountability partner.
Find someone who would be interested in being your accountability partner. They could be wanting to improve on their own budget, and you could work together. Or maybe you guys meet up once a week and just talk about your budget. Talking to another person makes your budget a lot more real. No one likes to be embarrassed, especially about spending money. This will make your budget feel more real. Now if you go over and spend unnecessary money, you will have to tell your accountability partner. Use this as motivation to keep at it and always improve.
Pay into your savings first. If you are making a budget before the month begins, then you know that for the next month, you're going to be saving whatever extra money is in the month. Let's call that $500. The first thing you do in the month is put $500 out of your checkings and put it into a savings account. This will force you to not overspend your money. Spending alerts. I have it set up in my bank. If I spend anything, I get a text alert saying exactly how much it was. This is a great reminder and helps remind me to input it in EveryDollar. Maybe I bought some groceries and didn't quite look at the price. As soon as I use my card, I get an alert from my phone that tells me the exact amount, and I can put it in EveryDollar right there. Or if I'm busy, I can do it later by just looking back at my texts.
There are a lot of ways to make a budget, and a lot of tips out there on how to stick with it. We hope that this video helps you understand how to make a budget and gives you helpful tips on how to always improve it. Sometimes it is really easy to not write down the budget and just use a mental budget. This is when everything is just in your head. Whenever I have done this in the past, those were the months I saved the least. We highly recommend putting as much effort into this as possible. Write down your budget manually. Do the envelope system. Set up alerts on your phone. If you're making a budget, it's because you want to improve.
Do you want to maybe probably improve, or do you want something that has the greatest chance of success? You get whatever effort you put in. Doing a mental budget or not manually writing things down is like going to the gym and only working out super hard for one day, then not going back for a few months. Sure, you worked out super hard that one day, but it doesn't produce any results. It works the same way for personal finances. You have to get your reps in. It all starts with making a budget and building the discipline you need to have control over your finances.
We hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below or email us at thefinancialtwins@gmail.com. If you want help making a budget, feel free to reach out to us.